Rain stitched silver lines across the windshield as the car rolled up to the iron gates. The mansion rose like a ship in a storm. Tall, bright, untouchable, I was the new maid, Emma. One suitcase. One borrowed umbrella. One promise to send money home. Don't speak unless spoken to, the driver warned, eyes on the mirror. Mr. Robert Hale hates noise. Inside, marble floors breathed cold into my shoes. Crystal lights hummed. The air smelled like lilies and money. People moved fast. Polished faces. Polished shoes. Polished lies maybe. Late, said Evelyn, the head housekeeper, eyes like pins. Wipe your shoes. Not the rug. The shoes. She glanced at my coat. My accent. My wages. You're here to work. Not to ask questions. On the landing, a painting of a girl in a white dress watched me. Then I saw her for real. Sophia. Pale as the moon. Wrapped in a thick sweater though the room was warm, her breath was thin. Her smile tried. Her eyes were brave. The doctor, John Mercer, stood beside her, voice smooth as glass. 3 months, he told her father, Robert. We will keep her comfortable. 3 months, it hit like a cold wave. Like a clock starting somewhere you can't see, Robert didn't blink. He stared at the windows as if the rain might answer back. He was a billionaire with a city at his feet. But he couldn't buy more time. I was supposed to dust the piano, fetch the tea, never ask why, but the house felt wrong, a sweet, metallic taste at the back of my throat. A hush that wasn't just hush. A hum behind the walls. Sophia grew weaker indoors, better by the garden door. I noticed, I shouldn't have. I couldn't help it. Miss Sophia? I whispered. Do you feel safer near the air? Her fingers tightened on mine. Across the hall, a small red detector, tucked behind a vase, blinked once, then died. Somewhere, a soft, distant beep cut out mid-breath, and I thought, what if the countdown is lying? What if the truth is hiding in this house? What if she isn't dying at all? Morning came thin and gray. The staff ran like a clock. Evelyn clapped her hands. Orders flew. Breakfast at 7, Mr. Hale at 8, doctor at 9. She leaned close to me, breath of mint and power. Stay in the West Wing today. Bedroom windows stay shut. Security protocols. Her smile never touched her eyes. I nodded, but I looked toward the garden door, glass wet with rain, leaves shivering outside. Sophia sat by the window, a knit cap over dark hair, a wool blanket over her knees. Hi, I said softly. I'm Emma, she studied me. Soft voice, you're new. Yes, I said. Do you like the air today? Yes, she whispered. Outside doesn't push on my chest. Robert Hale strode in. Tall. Tired. His suit carried the clean smell of rain and road. Morning, Sophia, he said, gentler than I expected. She smiled for him. He tried to smile back. Dr. John arrived with a satchel, a polite bow to the money in the room. Pain level, he asked, pen ready. 3, Sophia said, though the tremor in her fingers said 5. John's eyes dipped to the chart. Smooth voice. Steady hands. He spoke to Robert like no one else existed. We're managing the symptoms. She must rest. No drafts. No excitement. The West Wing has the quietest air. Quietest, the word stuck to my skin. After breakfast, Evelyn sent me to polish frames in the hall. I moved in the hush, listening. Under the portraits, the air felt heavy. Like a thick blanket laid over a sleeping child. My throat pricked. A dull ache tugged at my temples. I set my rag down and stood still. The hush wasn't silence. It was a held breath. I heard it then. Very faint. A beep. I followed it past a mirror. Past a bookcase, behind a tall vase of lilies, I found a small detector on the wall. The light blinked red. Then dark. Battery? Dead. I pressed the test button. Nothing. Emma. Evelyn's voice snapped behind me. Do you wander? The alarm, I said. It's not working, her smile sharpened. Decor first. Drama never. She plucked the lilies, moved the vase to cover the device, and walked away, heels pinning the hush into the carpet. Sophia coughed. A soft, scraping sound, the taste of metal returned, sweet and wrong. Outside, the rain eased. A wind slid across the lawn and touched the glass. Sophia sighed. Her shoulders eased. I looked at the hidden detector. At the sealed windows. At the West Wing that Evelyn loved so much. What kind of quiet is this? I wondered, the kind that protects? Or the kind that kills, if the house is the problem? How do you tell a father to fear his own walls? My first task after lunch was simple. Polish the piano in the music room above the garage. The room was beautiful. Dark wood. Big windows. A tray of crystal bowls that sang when you ran a wet finger along their rims, but the windows were locked. The vents whispered. I felt it in the soft part behind my eyes. Pressure. A slow tightening. I opened the lid. The strings smelled faintly of oil. Something else lingered, too, like a car left running just out of sight. Emma, Michael, head of security, appeared in the doorway. Broad shoulders. Warm eyes that didn't try to sell anything. You knew. Yes, I said. Is the garage right below us? Yep, he said. Mr. Hale's collection. The garage has its own ventilation. Is it on? I asked. He frowned. Why? I shook my head. Just, feels thick. He looked at me a second longer than most rich houses allow. You okay? I will be, I said, and smiled, even though my head throbbed like low thunder. Sophia loved music. She shuffled in with her nurse. Emma, play something, she asked, a small grin. Badly, I laughed. My hands were clumsy. I played a lullaby my mother sang when the lights cut off. Sophia leaned on the piano, eyes closing. For a moment, the room forgot it was heavy. Evelyn swept in. Enough, she said. Miss Sophia needs rest. Sophia's glow dimmed. Please? No, Evelyn clipped, looking at me like a stain that moved. Back to the West Wing. We returned to the corridor where the detector hid behind its vase like a silenced witness. The air pressed again. My throat tightened. I opened a window latch. It stuck. Evelyn slapped it shut. Security protocols, she repeated. Do not touch what you don't understand. I understood the way my breath felt easier whenever a door cracked. I understood the way Sophia's cheeks pinked in the garden and grayed in the hall. I understood bullying when I saw it. I'd worn it on my back before, like a cheap coat in a rich winter. Have you ever been told to stay in your place? Have you felt your place become a box? That night, I walked the service stairs. The house sighed. The paintings watched. In the laundry room, a drawer caught my eye. Inside, spare batteries. Labels. A tangle of detectors. Why would a house like this keep detectors in a drawer? I picked one up. New. Unused. Somewhere above me, a car engine turned over. Then cut. I sniffed. The sweet metal taste brushed my tongue. I climbed to the music room again. The window glass was cold. The vents hummed. Sophia's knit cap hung on the chair. I touched it and thought of her breath, thin like wet paper. Behind the curtain, another detector. Taped. Disabled. My heart knocked once, loud and clear. Someone didn't want alarms here. What happens to a truth that's quieter than money? Morning light came brittle and white. I asked Michael for a floor plan. Why? He asked. So I don't get lost, I said, which was true, and also not. He handed me a laminated map. Don't carry it where Evelyn can see. I traced the lines. The garage under the music room, the vents leading up, the West Wing stacked above sealed spaces like drawers. If the vents failed, what would spill? At noon, the chauffeurs warmed the cars. I watched from the service corridor. Engines purred like big, sleeping cats. The garage door opened. Closed. Opened again, as if confused. I felt the dull ache bloom behind my eyes. Another slow tide. Michael, I said, are the detectors linked to security? They should be, he said. Why? Because they're not screaming, I said softly. And they should be. He looked at me hard. What do you think this is? I think the air is wrong, I said. I think the house forgot to breathe. He rubbed his jaw, then nodded once. Wait here, he returned with a handheld meter from a security kit. We keep these for drills, he clicked it on. We stood in the hall. Numbers blinked, then we stepped into the music room. The numbers climbed, not enough to slam an alarm. Enough to whisper harm. We looked at each other. Ventilation, he said. Maybe blocked, I said. Maybe turned off. Sophia appeared at the door, cheeks pale. Music, she asked, voice hopeful. Later, Evelyn said from behind her. Not now, Michael tucked the meter away. He knew the cost of being right in front of the wrong person. I bent to Sophia. Do you feel dizzy up here? Sometimes, she said. Feels like I'm standing on a boat. What about the garden? I can breathe in the garden, she whispered, as if confessing a crime. Enough, Evelyn snapped. To me, stick to your cloth and polish. Not your questions, she guided Sophia away. Her hand looked gentle. Her eyes did not. I waited until night. I wore soft shoes. I carried a roll of tape and a plan. In the West Wing, I unlocked, cracked, taped. Just a finger's width. Enough to let the house exhale. I slid new batteries into 2 dead detectors. Behind the vase in the corridor, the red light blinked. Then green, it beeped once. Alive, my head ached less in 10 minutes. My hands stopped shaking. I stood in the dark and listened. The house breathed. Slow. Careful. Footsteps. Evelyn's. She saw the tape. The windows. The blinking light. Who did this? She asked. Her voice was soft now. Which was worse? I did, I said. The air. She stepped forward until her perfume filled the space between us. Night flowers and something sharp. Know your station, she said, or I will make it hurt. She plucked the batteries out fast. The detector died in my hands. When someone chooses silence, what are they trying to keep you from hearing? By morning, Sophia coughed until her lips trembled. John arrived. He checked vitals with polite sorrow. We'll adjust the regimen, he said. 3 months is generous. Perhaps less. Less. Robert stood at the window. His hands were fists in his pockets. Mr. Hale, I said before I could stop myself. Please. The detectors. Evelyn cut in. She's upsetting Miss Sophia. Let her speak, Robert said. Quiet. Dangerous. I met his eyes. Sir, the detectors were dead. The rooms near the garage feel wrong. Sophia breathes easier outdoors. I think the ventilation. John exhaled. A soft lecture tone. Common misconception. VOCs cause headaches. Her case is systemic. Then check the air, I said. Check first. Please. Evelyn laughed. It was a small, hard sound. Emma believes she knows more than a doctor. I stepped closer to Sophia, not to argue but to anchor. What if we open the windows for 1 hour? What if she sits in the garden for 2? If nothing changes, I'll never speak again. Silence. Sophia's eyes lifted to her father. Please, Dad. His jaw worked. He nodded once. Garden. We layered her in blankets. The winter sun was thin but kind. Birds fussed in the hedges. The fountain tossed coins of light. Sophia leaned back and closed her eyes. The tightness in her shoulders loosened. John watched. Clipboard, pen, doubt like a watermark. After 20 minutes, her color improved. It was slight. It was real. A breeze brushed our faces. We breathed with it. Michael, Robert said. Fetch your meter. He did. We walked the West Wing, the music room, the hall of portraits. Numbers don't lie. They don't flatter. They don't fear Evelyn. They rose in the places I feared. Not a scream. A steady, harmful whisper. Robert's face changed. Why were the detectors offline? He asked, voice low. Evelyn smoothed the table runner. For the gala last month. They chirped. The sound bothers guests. And no one turned them back on. I asked maintenance, she said. Perhaps they forgot. Michael's eyes flicked to the security log. There's a note, he said, voice careful, about repeated deactivations. John swallowed. We should call environmental services. Today, I looked at Sophia, now breathing deeper as the wind threaded the garden. Evelyn stepped close to me, a whisper only I could hear. You made yourself larger than your wages. That never ends well. I stood my ground. I chose breath. Robert turned. His voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Get the team, he told Michael. Now. Evacuate the West Wing. Open every window, he faced John. Bring in an independent specialist. Not on our payroll, he looked at Evelyn last. We'll speak later. Her smile finally cracked. Truth is fresh air. But first it has to break the glass. Teams arrived by afternoon. Tool cases. Meters that hummed. Coils of bright hose. They traced the vents. They opened access panels and ceilings that no one had looked at for years. Dust fell like old secrets. Findings came fast and sharp. A failed vent damper above the garage, a mis-wired fan, a backdraft when the big door closed, a set of detectors deactivated across the West Wing. Some logged as temporary, some never relinged, not a movie monster. Not a fairy curse. A chain of small, human yes to the wrong thing. That's how harm slides in. Quiet as a sigh, they turned the fans on. They replaced the damper. They tested again and again. Numbers fell. Windows opened. Curtains breathed. Sophia laughed, the sound thin but new. I can smell the lemons in the polish, she said. I couldn't before. John stood at her side, humility replacing certainty. I misread the pattern, he said, voice raw. I'm sorry, he changed the plan. Less sedation. More monitoring. Time, not a countdown but a path. Robert looked older and lighter at once. He shook my hand. He didn't crush. He didn't pose. You saw what the rest of us missed, he said. How? I clean, I said. I notice what repeats, he nodded, eyes wet. That's a better definition of power than I've heard in years. Evelyn returned her keys. Her eyes were tired. No more pins. No more mint. I wanted quiet, she said to no one in particular. Quiet keeps the rich calm. Quiet almost cost us Sophia, Robert replied. Quiet is not the same as peace. Security led her away. Not with drama. With procedure. Michael stood beside me on the steps, the night finally soft. You did it, he said. We did, I said. You believed me when it mattered, he smiled. I know the feeling of standing small in a big room. Weeks later, the house smelled different. New air. New paint under the windows. New batteries humming their small, stubborn song. Sophia walked the garden path with me. One slow loop. Then 2, 3 months, she said. They said I had 3 months. What do you have now? I asked. She took a breath like a promise. Today, the wind pushed her hair back from her face. For the first time, I saw the girl from the portrait with sunlight on her shoulders instead of a shadow. Robert joined us. He tucked Sophia's hand into his arm. We're starting a foundation, he said. Detectors, audits, training for homes like ours. We'll call it Emma's Rule. I laughed. That's too much. It's not enough, he said, and meant it. That night, the house no longer felt like a held breath. I opened a window and let the dark carry our old fear away. Sometimes the truth is not in the words people say. Sometimes it's in the air they ask you not to notice. Sometimes it's in the way a poor girl refuses to be quiet in a rich room. The countdown didn't end. It reset. To a life that could finally begin. Have you ever felt that a quiet rule, at work, at home, in a friendship, was actually hiding something important? What did you do, and what do you wish you'd done differently?